of Ohio. It's represented by Prosecuting Attorney Larocci. The defendant, Joshua D.Rice. Is that your name, sir?
Yes, sir.
He's present before the court. He's accompanied at this time by Public Defender Dean Topoloff. And you need make no statement in these proceedings, and any statement you do make can and will be used against you. You understand those basic legal rights?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have the financial ability to hire an attorney to represent you in this case.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I guess for the record, I was appointed as a public defender at the Ashtabula Municipal Court level to represent Mr. Rice. And I represented him at the preliminary hearing stage of this case. At that time, we were made aware that Michael Jones is a co-defendant of Mr. Rice. And that at that time, Mr. Jones had not requested a public defender. He had informed the court he was going to hire counsel, so that's why the public defender's office was appointed to represent Mr. Rice. But the public defender's office currently represents Michael Jones on another matter other than the one that he set for arraignment today, which would be a conflict still with Mr. Rice. So what I've been trying to tell Mr. Rice, and I informed the court that it most likely would appear there would be a conflict with further representation of Mr. Rice due to the prior representation of the co-defendant, Mr. Jones. So I mean, I'm here for the purpose of arraignment. I'm still listed as his attorney,
but you have a conflict.
I believe there is a direct conflict.
All right, I think there's 4 co-defendants with Mr. Rice. So, Mr. Boeman, would you be interested in taking the case? All right, you want to step up here then? Mr. Boeman has practiced law before this court for a number of years. He's handled a large number of criminal cases. The court is satisfied that he's certainly qualified to accept an appointment here. So the court will appoint Christopher Boeman to represent Joshua D. Rice. Now, has Mr. Rice received a copy of the indictment? And if so, when?
Yes, Your Honor.
You received your indictment before 10:30 in the morning yesterday? All right, he says yes. All right, then that's more than 24 hours before this hearing today. We'll proceed with the arraignment. Would you like to have the indictment read at this time?
Your Honor, we would waive the reading of the indictment.
And how does the defendant plead to each of the 5 counts?
Your Honor, my client would plead not guilty to all 5 counts.
Now, bond was set at $50,000, cash, surety, 10% in the Ashtabula Municipal Court on July 28, 2014. And I believe the defendant's been incarcerated since July 26 to the present, which would be a total of, I believe, 55 days.
He would like the bond to be modified. He obviously hasn't been able to pay this bond. He would like it to be lowered.
On a 10% deposit bond, you give back 90% of that deposit if you show up at all stages of the proceedings. Obviously, if you don't show up, you're going to lose it, it'll be forfeited. There was an ORAS evaluation. In this case, the defendant scored a 9, which is on the high side. So in the event he were to post bond, he will be made subject to pretrial services. He would have to report to the probation department upon his release and be subject to that pretrial service program. This case is assigned to Judge Gary Yost. It will be scheduled within the requirements of the Ohio Revised Code. Written notice will be furnished counsel for both parties of all hearing and trial dates. Anything else beyond case number 14 CR 461?
Nothing.
That will be all. Offense of felonious assault, a felony of the 2nd degree. Count 2 alleges felonious assault, another felony of the 2nd degree. Count 3 alleges illegal manufacturing of drugs, a felony of the 1st degree. Count 4 alleges illegal assembly or possession of chemicals for the manufacture of drugs, a felony of the 2nd degree. Count 5 alleges the offense of tampering with evidence, a felony of the 3rd degree. Present before the court at this time is the state of Ohio. It's represented by Prosecuting Attorney Larocci. The defendant, Michael M. Jones. Mr. Jones, is that your name? All right. Michael Jones is present, and he's accompanied at this time by Dean Topoloff. Mr. Simon is not here, but I'll permit Mr. Topoloff to assist the defendant in the arraignment, and if we appoint counsel, I'll appoint probably Mr. Simon. Mr. Jones, you're entitled to the following criminal rights. First of all, you have the right to the services of an attorney before being arraigned on the charges laid in the indictment and for the defense of the charges upon trial. The court will appoint private counsel Thomas J. Simon to represent the defendant at state expense. Has Mr. Jones received a copy of the indictment?
Yes, he has, Your Honor.
Would you like to have the indictment read?
Your Honor, no. He will waive the reading of the indictment and enter a plea of not guilty.
All right, now on the issue of bond, my notes indicate bond was set at $100,000. Be posted by cash surety or 10%. That was posted in the, or set in the Ashtabula Municipal Court on July 28th, 2014.
So we'd ask the court to consider lowering the bond from 100,000, 10%, something that if he does resolve the other matter, that he can possibly for like a 25,000, 10%, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it's alleged that this defendant stabbed Robert Loveland multiple times. Mr. Loveland had to have surgery on his heart, on his intestines. He is still recovering in very serious condition. Mr. Jones, due to the severity of this instance, we believe that the bond is, as previously said, is extremely reasonable in the fact that he has another case and that his bond has been revoked. We would ask that the current bond be continued.
Post $25,000 10% bond today. If the other case is resolved, and if he has the wherewithal to post that bond, he can file a motion for a modification of bond at that time. This case is going to be assigned to Judge Gary Yost, as he's a co-defendant of the Rice case that we just indicted a minute, or arraigned a minute ago. So I'm not going to modify it at this time, but he can file a modification if he can actually post some other bond. So bond will be continued as previously said. All right, this defendant is a co-defendant of Joshua Rice, the 14 CR 461 case. Judge Yost was appointed in that case, and he'll also be appointed to handle this case since this defendant is a co-defendant. Is there anything else come before the court on case number 14 CR 479?
No, Your Honor.